UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia, Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight recap. I'm going to go through every fight on the card and give my reaction and breakdown. Starting out with the very first fight, we have Long Xiao versus Chang Li, a clinch battle, clinching back and forth, knees nonstop in the clinch. This was a high-paced fight. I can't say it was like super exciting, but I thought it was a decent fight. Chang Li gets the win via split decision, 29-28 across the board. I thought that Long Xiao won. First round, I thought he won, landed the better shots. Clinch work was there, but both guys were landing the clinch. Long Xiao had his own takedown in the first round as well. Second round was close, but they were like striking at range for maybe the first minute and a half before they started really getting into the clinch work and the clinch battle. And Li started to come on really strong towards the end of the second round. But I thought Long Xiao still won the second round. And then the third round, Li hurt him with a body shot early, a knee to the body early, then got his back on the ground, then got reversed, and then ended up giving up his back, but then got back up, and then they kind of, went back to their stereotypical clinch battle throughout the, that they've been doing throughout the fight. I thought third round, Li took it, but it was a close round that could have went either way. I thought Long Xiao won the first two rounds. Ultimately, was it a robbery? Absolutely not. But Chang Li just failed takedowns the entire fight. Didn't do a whole lot of damage other than the knees to the body, which I felt like Long Xiao, I don't want to say he was matching him, but he either had success on the feet that outweighed those knees and then was kind of like going a little bit tit for tat for him in the clinch. So I don't think it's crazy to have Chang Li winning this fight, but I thought Long Xiao should have got the decision win, 29-28, winning the first two rounds. I don't think round one is even up for debate. I mean, clearly Long Xiao won round one, but basically Chang Li just had the better stamina, won the third round, won the tail end of the second round, and I think ultimately that's what won him the fight, and he got the decision win. Moving up on the card, we have Magomedov Gadzhiyasulov versus Brenson Ribeiro. Gadzhiyasulov won via majority decision. I think one judge had it a draw. What the fuck were they looking at? I have no idea. Ribeiro, first round, looking to grapple, fence grab by Gadzhiyasulov, lost the position because of it with Jason Herzog. Hurt him with a leg kick to end the round, like 30 seconds left, and then Gadzhiyasulov got a takedown. So I guess maybe because that hurt leg kick or hurt leg and that nasty leg kick, maybe a judge gave 10-8 to Ribeiro. But after that second round early takedown from Gadzhiyasulov, where Ribeiro looked for a guillotine, ended up getting the mount but got reversed, ended up on bottom, had nothing to offer, got beat up on bottom. Third round, Ribeiro initiates the grappling, gets taken down, beaten up for the entirety of the round, loses the round. So I don't see how you would give 2 or 3 to Ribeiro at all. It was clearly that Gadzhiyasulov had the grappling advantage. Ribeiro's just so explosive and strong and fast early, but he really wasn't able to use his striking and his reach all that much. He never really mixed in the leg kicks too much after that first round, never really had an opportunity to, because he got out-grappled from the very first second, basically, of every single round. So Gadzhiyasulov was able just to take him down, control him. Ribeiro had nothing off of his back, honestly, nothing at all. Just dominated him. He had that one guillotine attempt, I guess, but that was off the takedown shot, so that was like a reaction to the takedown. He knew he was going down, looked for the guillotine. It was tight. Gadzhiyasulov almost lost his pants, Arman Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira style, but he fought out of it. That was the tensest moment of the fight. That was really, one of the crazier moments of this fight, and ultimately Gadzhiyasulov gets it done via majority decision. Moving up on the card, we have Muin Gafurov versus Kang. Muin Gafurov wins the fight. I think it was all 30-27s. Basically, Gafurov was just chopping the legs, winning on the feet. Kang had some moments with the grappling. The first round, he initiated the grappling, got taken down and controlled. I thought he was going to lose that way. But towards the end of the round, actually got the back of Gafurov and was like working a rear naked choke, but clearly lost the first round. Second round, Kang actually got a takedown. And it's like Gafurov was being lazy, got mounted, but there was really no damage. Gafurov scrambled out, avoided the triangle choke, avoided the armbar as he scrambles out of the full mount. And then they kind of went to war a little bit. Gafurov was smashing his legs, mixing it up to the body, mixing it up to the head. Kang looked for a desperation takedown. At one point, there was like a 10-finger guillotine choke for Gafurov. Gafurov clearly won the second round. And then the third round, Kang was, getting the better of the grappling, but not doing any damage at all. And then Gafurov really scrambled out of it. And it was losing the round, but it wasn't like he was losing it with a lot of damage. It's just he was kind of getting outworked and not doing any damage of his own. But at the tail end of the third round, landed a spinning back heel kick that dropped him, and then Kang was on his knees just waiting for Gafurov to engage in the grappling. You know, typically how most people do. Like if your opponent's on his knees, you next thing you know, initiate the grappling. Gafurov just kind of postures back and just starts slinging hooks as Kang is on his knees, lands some good shots. 10 seconds, last 10, 15 seconds of the third round, Gafurov stole the third round with those damaging shots because Kang really didn't do a whole lot of damage. But basically, Kang just got outstruck, didn't have the grappling, didn't have good enough grappling to really control him and hold him down. Even when he had the full mount, couldn't do any damage with it. And I was actually thinking this might be going Kang's way because Gafurov was throwing shots from the bottom, which wasn't really a good look before he scrambled out of it. Couldn't find the armbar, couldn't find the triangle, and it was outmatched on the feet badly. So Muin Gafurov gets it done via decision. Moving up, next fight on the card, Rinat Fakhretdinov, Nicolas Dalby. Rinat gets it done via split decision. There were some people calling this a robbery. I don't know how you could see this as a robbery. Rinat Fakhretdinov clearly won this fight, in my opinion. First round, Dalby was doing well. Got sat down. I think he was hurt with a right hand. Ended up getting back up. Got taken down maybe once in the first round, but Dalby got right back up. It was a competitive round, but Rinat hurt him badly, clearly won. Second round, Dalby was fighting like a madman, nonstop pressing forward, looking for the clinch, landing some good combinations as Rinat would try to circle out or whatever. Dalby was landing some good shots, landing some good kicks as well. And I think Rinat got a takedown in the second round as well, but didn't really do any damage with it. It was towards the end of the round. Then the third round, okay? Rinat was tired. Okay, Renat's a crazy fighter. He throws wild on the feet. Go back and look at the Liza Zaleski Dos Santos fight. Third round, Rinat nonstop grappled. There was some striking exchanges, but he was able to get Dalby down, start lacing up the legs a little bit. Dalby would fight back up. He would get him back down again. Without the grappling, I thought Rinat landed the better shots on the feet. Was tagging him when Dalby was like exiting from some of the clinch exchanges. I thought you eliminate all the grappling from the third round, which was the majority of the third round. Rinat landed the better shots on the feet. So then you incorporate, let's say, they did even damage. You incorporate the grappling from Rinat. He won, and he did do a little bit of damage with ground and pound in the third round, I believe. So Rinat clearly won rounds 1 and round 3. I don't know how you give Dalby the fight at all. Some people were saying, Dalby won. Dalby was impressive. Dalby's cardio is unbelievable. But he did not win this fight. He did not win this fight at all. He had some moments. The breathing was crazy. You can almost hear it over the commentators. The cardio and the resurgence of his career is awfully suspicious, in my opinion. But I still think he lost. I think Rinat was landing bigger shots on the feet in the third round. Second round, okay, not so much. But, the first round isn't up for debate, so you'd really have to be debating 2 and 3 for Dalby. Dalby clearly lost the third round, in my opinion. I was shocked when they said split decision. So, Rinat, I know people are saying he got exposed. Dalby's a tough out for anyone. With that stamina and that breathing technique, Dalby is a tough out for anyone. Is Rinat going to be a champion? I don't know. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen anyone making those claims. But Rinat gets it done. He fights wild and crazy on the feet. He does have to work on the gas tank. But again, he won the third round against Nicolas Dalby. So how much work does he really have to do on the gas tank? He just has to work on getting some more ground and pound done against a guy like Dalby, who's kind of tricky to hold down when he's getting tired. That's the biggest gripe about this fight. But Rinat gets it done. Next fight on the card, Muhammad Naimov versus Felipe Lima. What a win. Felipe Lima wins via third round rear naked choke. Craziness. Absolute craziness that Felipe Lima got it done. First round, he came in on short notice. First round, looking fast, landing good body kicks. Naimov got a takedown. Did a little bit of damage, a little bit of elbows, but I still had it 10-9 Lima. Second round, Naimov was winning the second round, was out ahead of him in the second round. It was a close round, but it was kind of back and forth, a little bit in the second round. But I thought Naimov should have won the second round. And then the third round, Felipe Lima gets the rear naked choke. I could not believe it. I absolutely could not believe it. Lima got him down, and it was like, I can't even remember the exchange that ended up leading to him getting down. But it was like Naimov showed no respect and basically just tried to stand up. We've seen this time and time again, where guys have their hands on the mat and they're not fighting the rear naked because they're just so dead set on standing up. We've seen it with Cody Garbrandt and Davison Figueiredo. We've seen it so many times in the past where they're not worried about what a guy's doing on their back because they're just trying to stand up, and that's exactly what he did here. And Lima just sunk in a deep rear naked choke. And you know what's crazy? I thought Naimov was heading towards a 29-28 victory. I know that sounds crazy because it happened early It happened early in the third round. But after seeing that second round, it seemed like Lima was starting to slow down. It seemed like the kicks weren't coming as fast. It seemed like he wasn't being as aggressive. He came out aggressive in that third round. He got him down. He found the back, and he snatched up the rear naked choke because Naimov was showing no respect as he stood up. And we've seen this so many times. Guys have to learn. When you stand up and you give your back, you have to be weary of the rear naked choke. It was a filthy win for Felipe Lima. One of my favorite debuts. And this shows, and I've talked about this in the past, there's so many guys outside the UFC who are high level, or at least bare minimum can beat some guys in the UFC who were considered decent. A lot of people think if you're outside the UFC, you're just not good at all. Felipe Lima comes in here on short notice and gets a third-round rear naked choke against Muhammad Naimov, who is a very good fighter. So great win for Felipe Lima. I think he's a 135er. He looked like a 135er. So up a weight class, short notice to get it done against a guy who has looked really good in his recent fights. Shout out to Felipe Lima. Incredible performance. Next fight on the card, Nasrat Haqparast versus Jarrett Gordon. What an absolute war this was. Back and forth. Gordon pressuring nonstop. Nasrat landing good shots as he's backing up. Gordon looking for some takedowns, but never really had any success with them at all. This was a split decision win for Nasrat. I agreed with the decision. I had Nasrat 1-3. 1-3 for Nasrat. He was defending takedowns the majority of the first round. Gordon was landing some shots, but he was getting touched up. There was good flurries by Nasrat throughout this fight and throughout the first round. Good body kicks as well. Nasrat won the first round. Second round was much closer. Gordon was marching forward, landing some good shots, was clinching up with him. It was like the first half Nasrat got, and then he started to slow down, and then Gordon started to win the second half. And there was like a moment where maybe Gordon got dropped, but I thought he stumbled in the second round, so I thought Gordon took the second round. And then the third round, crazy back and forth. Gordon started to slow down. The nonstop pressure from Gordon started to get to him as well, and Nasrat was landing. And then towards the end of the round, it was like Nasrat was landing big left hands and left uppercuts. Gordon was pumping the jab. Nasrat was pumping the jab. Gordon's left eye, I think, was closed. Yeah, I think his left eye was starting to close. Nasrat, early third round, it looked like the writing was on the wall. He was going to lose the third round. But after like the first minute, he really started to turn it on. And he was landing. He was feinting an uppercut. He was landing good kicks. And the ending of the fight was pretty crazy. They were slinging down. It was a crazy fight overall. I think the crowd was booing during this fight, which is crazy. I agree with the decision. I had it 1-3 for Nasrat Haqparast. Was the superior striker? I feel bad for Jarrett Gordon, though. This was a razor close fight. He could have won this fight. He gets robbed against Paddy Pimblett. Now, he probably thinks he got robbed against Nasrat Haqparast. But the striking of Nasrat and the movement of Nasrat is what won him this fight. Jarrett Gordon tried to walk him down and bullied him. It reminded me like a prime Chris Weidman, not in the skill level, but in the kind of game plan overall. That's what Jarrett Gordon came in with. But Nasrat had excellent takedown defense. I think he got took into a knee one time. I don't think it counts as a takedown. That was pretty much it. Outside of that, it was just him working out of the clinch. And he did well in the clinch. And just getting to boxing range, and he was landing on the feet nonstop. Gordon had some success, don't get me wrong, but Nasrat was the far superior striker in this matchup, and he dealt with the pressure well. I thought, he might pull a Giga Chikadze, Calvin Kattar, and really start fading, but he pulled it out, and I thought, a gutsy performance in the last half of the third round. Up on the card, first fight on the main card, Johnny Walker versus Volkov Oezdemir. Johnny Walker got brutally chinned. I knew I should have picked against him. Got brutally chinned. Got hurt with a left hand drop. Somehow survived. It looked like he quit after this left hand, to be quite honest. Walker throwing flying knees, falling all over the cage, then gets clipped with the right hand. Basically fold it right there. Fold it like a lawn chair. And then the ref doesn't jump in because I guess he sees Johnny Walker kind of still looking at him. And Johnny Walker's laid up against the fence, folded over his leg, and Volkov Oezdemir lands like a nasty uppercut ground and pound shot and just sleeps Johnny Walker. I felt like I was attending his viewing. This was an open casket. The way he stiffened up and the way he was flat as a board was brutal to watch. And how many times have we seen Johnny Walker just get slept like this? I'm never picking Johnny Walker again. He has shit boxing. He's just a dynamic striker. And if he can't win with his, dynamic flying knees and crazy techniques, he just can't win. I can't believe some people picked him over Magomedov. It wasn't as many as I remember. I thought a lot of people were picking him, but Johnny Walker, he's just getting walked down by the more technical fighter. Johnny Walker has no chin, and he's not defensively responsible. So he gets chinned by Volkov Oezdemir. Shout out to Volkov Oezdemir. He calls out Jamal Hill. Very respectful call out. Nothing of any, disrespect. I know Jamal Hill's right now just probably punching his brother or something right now because he's probably insulted by the even thought of he would call me out. But Johnny Walker's done. Stick a fork in Johnny Walker. He's done. People were talking about the career resurgence. No chin, no striking defense. Honestly, it just shows kind of the lack of depth in the light heavyweight division. And every time he's just getting meme KO'd. I mean, Magomedov meme KO, Volkov Oezdemir meme KO, Jamal Hill meme KO. There's probably other ones that I'm forgetting about off the top of my head right now. His chin is gone. He's taken a lot of brain damage. Volkov Oezdemir absolutely smashed him in this fight and walked him down and won every second. Even before he rocked him with the initial left hand, he was landing the left hand as well right before that. So Johnny Walker really didn't have any success. I think he landed a couple hard leg kicks, and that was really it for this fight. So Johnny Walker, are we really surprised? Gets brutally chinned yet again. Next fight on the card, we have Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Antoni Trocoli. I don't want to shit on Antoni Trocoli because, I don't want to shit on him because he took it on short notice, very short notice, and flew halfway across the world. But he gets finished in the third round, okay? Gets finished in the third round, gets absolutely melted in the third round with a left hook. Was getting smashed before that. I don't even know what he was doing. I don't know if it was the weight cut. I don't know if it was short notice. He landed 2 good punches in the very first round, like the first 30 seconds. Started to look for a takedown, got a clinch. Was grabbing the fence, got broken up by Mark Goddard for grabbing the fence, and then Shara Bullet was just lighting up his legs, landing good punches. And then he would clinch again and not really do much in the clinch. It was like Shara was even winning in the clinch as well. And then second round, Shara more of the same, chewing up the leg, shucked off a takedown. Then Trocoli got in. There were nasty side kicks to the body. Then Trocoli got in on a takedown, was going to get the takedown last like minute or so, and Shara Bullet brutally grabbed the fence. There was a warning, but he should have been laid on his back. He should have had a point deducted. And there wasn't. He breaks out of the clinch, lands some shots towards the end of the second round. Then the third round, Shara Bullet just starts smashing him, lighting him up to the body, lighting him up upstairs, lands a nasty knee, and then just starts swarming and puts him down with a left hand. Brutal finish for Shara Bullet. Now, should there have been a point deducted in the second round? Yes. Would it have changed the fight in any meaningful capacity? No, because Trocoli was just marching forward. I don't even know how to describe it, I would describe it as like you're literally going for like a stroll and maybe you're just a little bit drunk. Like he was just marching forward, no head movement. Like I can't even describe it. Like he just looked like he wasn't even there to fight. Like he's like, oh, what's going on? What did I stumble upon? Like he was just like, I don't get it. It was weird to see. No head movement. He was trying to clinch here and there, but he was terrified of the firepower coming back. He was getting his legs chopped up. It was he seemed frozen in there. Deer in the headlights look from Trocoli. I'm sure he'll get another opportunity because he took this on short notice. But yeah, the most notable thing about this fight was the fence grab. It was an egregious fence grab, but it really didn't matter. Maybe he got taken down there. He wasn't going to get finished in the last 40 seconds. I doubt it. I mean, we never know. You never know. But with the way Trocoli was fighting, total NPC, embarrassing display, but we'll give him a little bit of slack because he did step in on short notice. And then I was joking around about Bo Nickel calling out Shara because Shara has no wrestling. I mean, he's improved a little bit, showed a little bit of improvement, but against Antoni Trocoli, this dude can't even main event the Kentucky State Fair. I was joking about Bo Nickel fighting Shara Bullet because he's like, oh, he's probably like, oh yeah, this guy's got no grappling, let me fight him next. Bo Nickel actually called him out on Twitter. Who could have saw that coming? Who could have saw that coming? But ultimately, Magomedov, I think he kind of saved the performance by getting the third round finish. If he didn't get the finish, it would have been embarrassing. So Shara Bullet gets it done. I want to see a little bit of a step up in competition in his next fight, but I forgot who he was originally supposed to fight this fight. Was it Michel Pedetta or was that a different fight I'm thinking of? So I'd like to see that fight rebooked. That's a banger matchup. Would love to see it. I think Pereira outgrapples him, honestly. Because Shara Bullet's, his grappling, he showed decent takedown defense, but against Trocoli, I still wasn't seeing things that I liked in terms of the grappling. Next fight on the card, Kelvin Gastelum, Daniel Rodriguez. First order of business. Why is Kelvin Gastelum built exactly like SpongeBob? And a SpongeBob that's been feasting on quite a bit of Krabby Patties. But Kelvin Gastelum gets the decision win. It's kind of a brawl fight. I mean, I wasn't even that entertained by this fight, but it was a decent fight. Just a lot of swinging back and forth. Gastelum won the first round. Second round, I thought Daniel Rodriguez landed the better flurries, got a takedown there, but didn't really get any damage off. And then the third round, I think Gastelum knew it was 1-1, mixed in 2 takedowns, controlled him, beat him up, had some ground and pound, like 2 minutes, a minute and a half into the round. So he probably controlled him for about 3 minutes. Let him up like the last 30 seconds, took him right back down. So Gastelum clearly won 1-3. Dude came in, built like SpongeBob, was supposed to fight at 170, ended up making the fight for 185. He better have forfeited some of his purse. And he gets on the mic afterwards and basically begs the UFC to re-sign him. I'm wondering if this was the last fight on his contract. Because if it is, I think the UFC is not going to re-sign him. And that's why he was like, Dana, Mr. Krabs, I'm sorry. Mr. Krabs, please don't cut me, Mr. Krabs. I'll take Pearl out on a date, please. So, I don't know. He gets it done. Daniel Rodriguez has never had any grappling. His wrestling is shit. We know that. And, yeah, I mean, they were swinging back and forth. Both were landing good shots. Kelvin Gastelum landed some decent body shots, but Daniel Rodriguez had some good moments in round 2. Other than that, he clearly lost the first and third round. Third round was kind of garbage. But at least Kelvin Gastelum did land some ground and pound. So he did have some moments in that third round where he was landing decent ground and pound. I don't know what to say about Kelvin Gastelum anymore. I really don't. Where does he go from here? What division is he even in? He shouldn't be at 170. He's constantly missing weight. He's posted on YouTube about missing weight and eating tacos. So I don't know. And then he's not informing them until very late. So Daniel Rodriguez is cutting weight and he's not. So I'm sure this, is going to be, a lot of people are going to look at this win and be like, look, you came in heavy and you out-grappled the guy to win the third round, which ultimately won you the fight. So I really don't know what to say about it. Kelvin Gastelum gets the win, but I'm not impressed at all. Co-main event. Sergei Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. Alexander Volkov wins via unanimous decision. My power went out right as the first round ended, and it went out for 1 second, booted right back up, but the router took a minute to boot back up to give me my internet back. Even though I have Ethernet, obviously it's connected to the router, but you get the point. I went back and rewatched the second round. Volkov stung him with a really good left hand. But outside of that, I mean, it felt like almost they were friends. The most entertaining part of this fight was Sergei Pavlovich pushing him at the end when they weren't actually fighting. Volkov just used his range and battered him. Good leg kicks, good body kicks, mixing in the head kicks as well. Pavlovich, I was never a big believer in Pavlovich. And then he proved me wrong and proved me wrong and proved me wrong. And then I started picking him. I picked him against Tom Aspinall. And now I picked him against Volkov. I picked Blades against him. And now he's losing. So I pick him against Aspinall. He makes me a believer. I pick him against Aspinall, pick him against Volkov. And now I'm like, where's his career going? He's stiff as a board. He really only has boxing in his arsenal. He threw a couple kicks in this fight, which is rarity. He never really throws any kick. I don't think he ever threw a kick in his UFC career. But, unless he can find that KO shot and against a more athletic guy who, longer, taller like Alexander Volkov, I mean, what's he going to do? After the first round, I think his chances of winning go down significantly. Doesn't really have great grappling either. Not that we really saw it in this fight. But Volkov used his length, used his range. You know what I would have loved to see in a prime Stefan Struve versus Alexander Volkov? Stefan Struve never really, he was like 7 foot something, never really used his length all that well and his height all that well and kind of got exposed multiple times and brutally KO'd multiple times. I would have loved to have seen that fight. But I don't know where Pavlovich goes from here. Of course, it's heavyweight. Of course, he can rebuild. But, I mean, he just got outboxed, out-kickboxed, and really had no answers. He looked slow. He looked stiff, especially after round 1. Got stung with like a left straight or jab in the second round and was just bloodied up, busted up. Volkov really took no damage at all. And it's like Pavlovich, all you have to do is worry about his KO power in the first round with his hands, and that's it. Doesn't throw anything else. Doesn't mix in any takedowns. This dude's not really like a well-rounded mixed martial artist. So Volkov gets it done. He calls out John Jones. I'd like to see the Tom Aspinall rematch at some point. I know that really doesn't add up right now, but if, let's say, Aspinall beats Blades, and let's say Jones beats Stipe or Stipe beats Jones and they both retire, I think Volkov deserves the next title shot against Tom Aspinall, I think that would make a lot of sense. Or if Blades is the champ, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That was a while ago, but he did get dominated. I wouldn't mind seeing that as well. But yeah, Volkov gets it done. Unanimous decision. Outstruck him. I don't know where Sergei Pavlovich goes from here. Moving on. Main event. Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. Robert Whittaker wins via brutal first round KO. And I think this was one of the best possible outcomes for this fight for a multitude of reasons. First off, it exposes the brain-dead Dagestani privilege narrative that I've been telling you guys about since last week. I've really been telling you guys about it for a while, but in the last week when Ikram got this fight, people were like, Ikram, Dagestani privilege. What about fighting the number 3 guy in the world on 1 week's notice when you're already started your weight cut and flying halfway around the world to fight him? Where in that is any privilege? Oh, if you pull off a victory, that's privilege? No, you've earned that. And in this fight, it showed that it's just not. He was at a massive disadvantage here. He didn't belong in there with Robert Whittaker just yet. He didn't have the experience to fight a guy like Robert Whittaker just yet. He didn't make his way up the ladder to fight Robert Whittaker. Now, I have no problem with fights like this. I love when you have a guy that has a name that's hyped up quite a bit and you throw him in there with a guy who we know is a known commodity like Robert Whittaker. But Robert Whittaker fucked him up bad. Landed the right hand, wobbled him, threw a head kick, slipped down. Ikram never looked for a takedown. Uppercut, dropped him badly, and then a couple follow-up ground and pound shots. The uppercut basically KO'd him. And Robert Whittaker finished him. Minute and 49 seconds into the first round. Where's the privilege in that? You tell me where it's such a privilege you would sign up to fly halfway across the world after you've already started your weight cut for a literal bum that you were supposed to fight a bum. And now you got to fight the number 3 guy in the world and you get brutally chinned in the first 2 minutes and now everyone's calling you a fraud. Tell me where the privilege is in that. But besides that point, the reason this is another really great outcome is because now we really have a clear-cut number 1 contender. Robert Whittaker is the number 1 contender in the middleweight division. You know, I know some people are saying, oh, no, it's Sean Strickland. There's no way it can be Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland squeaked by Paulo Costa doing literally no damage, okay? Robert Whittaker destroyed Paulo Costa. Okay, there was a moment where he got rocked, but he put a beating on Paulo Costa for 3 rounds. And now he went out there against a hyped-up prospect in Ikram Aliskerov and made him look like that. Made him look like a hype job. Went out there and starched him out. So if we want to start being realistic about who has earned a title shot, I think most deserving contender right now is Robert Whittaker. Pull Israel Adesanya at a UFC 285, or not 285, I'm sorry. Pull Israel Adesanya at a UFC 305. Put Robert Whittaker in. I know he's fought Duplessis before. I'm going to be honest, and maybe you guys disagree with me. I think Dricus Duplessis versus Robert Whittaker 2 is a compelling fight. I think Robert Whittaker underestimated him vastly and paid for it. The way he went out there in this fight, and I know people are going to say, oh, he beat Ikram, an unranked guy. Okay? This guy was hyped up. He destroyed Paulo Costa previously. So if we're giving Sean Strickland a title shot off of beating Paulo Costa and squeaking by, then, okay, Robert Whittaker already had deserved the title shot before he beat Ikram. Ikram is just a cherry on the top. So I think this is a great win for Robert Whittaker. I think it shows that he's willing to take on any and all comers rather than try to sit out for a title shot. He's willing to fight his way back to the top like he did for the second fight against Israel Adesanya. And I'm not delusional to think that somehow Duplessis Adesanya is going to get canceled. But I think Whittaker should fight the winner of that fight. I really do. I really do. You know, the Adesanya trilogy would be compelling. I know some people will be, it's not really that compelling. I think it would be compelling. And the Dricus Duplessis rematch would be compelling for Robert Whittaker. So I have no problem if Whittaker gets the next shot. But ultimately, there's a lot of fun matchmaking you can make right now. You could do Sean Strickland versus Robert Whittaker for number 1 contender. That makes a whole lot of sense. You could even put it on 305. Neither guy took a whole lot of damage. I mean, Strickland didn't fight in his last fight. And then Robert Whittaker got him out of there in 2 minutes and really never took any shots. I think, maybe 2 or 3 shots landed for Ikram this whole entire fight, which only lasted less than 2 minutes. So you could book Whittaker versus Strickland. If Whittaker wants to wait, he can wait. He can be the backup according to Dana White. You could also do, and I would love to see this, Sean Strickland versus Khamzat Chimaev, but Sean Strickland has turned down Khamzat Chimaev on countless occasions, so I doubt that's going to happen. And then that could be the next number 1 contender after Robert Whittaker, or you could do Whittaker versus Imavov. And I know Imavov has a loss to Strickland, but Imavov's coming off a big win over Jarrett Cannonier, which I think is super impressive. So you could do Whittaker versus Imavov, Strickland versus Chimaev. And for my personal preferences, that's what I would want. What probably makes more sense is probably Whittaker versus Strickland because there is some discussion about who deserves the title shot. Let's find out. Book them against each other. So book Whittaker versus Strickland very, very soon. Winner gets the winner of Adesanya versus DDP at UFC 305. I think it makes a lot of sense. And Whittaker went out there and this was a statement performance, Ikram, I know people are going to call him a fraud. I don't know. The jury's still out on Ikram Aliskerov. Getting destroyed by Robert Whittaker on short notice doesn't really tell us a whole lot. especially when you had already started your weight cut for Anton Trocoli, or Tanny. What is his name? Is it Anton Trocoli? I forgot his name that quick. What is his name? Antonio Trocoli. When you're supposed to fight Antonio Trocoli, you get subbed out for Robert Whittaker after you already started your weight cut. You had to fly halfway across the world. You know, it's not that detrimental that you lost to Robert Whittaker. It's just, let's give him like a guy hanging around the top 15, the edge of the top 15, or just outside the top 15 next. Let's see him get back on his horse. This is only his second loss. He's lost to Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. No shame in that, in my opinion, but great win for Robert Whittaker. And shout out to Robert Whittaker for accepting this fight, and shout out to Ikram Aliskerov for accepting this fight on short notice and saving UFC Saudi Arabia's main event. Was this card great? No, it wasn't the greatest card ever, but Robert Whittaker absolutely delivered in the main event with an exciting performance where he was able to find a finish. So really enjoyed the main event for as long as it lasted. The card overall was kind of, now that I'm thinking about it, it was actually really a letdown. I mean, there were some solid prelims, so I'm not going to say it was a total letdown. It was an exciting card. I think people are crapping on this card a little bit too much, but I do kind of get the point. For the hype that was built in, it feels as if it was a letdown, you know, because the hype was so high. I was bummed that it wasn't Chimaev. I really was bummed that it wasn't Chimaev, but hopefully Chimaev gets healthy soon, and we see him step in there very, very soon against one of these top guys. That's what I really want to see. Let me know what you guys thought of the card down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.